Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is the ninth film by Quentin Tarantino. It stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, and one of the largest and best ensemble casts of the year. And it tells the story of Rick Dalton, an aging television actor who's struggling to make a full transition into films during the golden era for westerns in Hollywood of 1969, alongside his best friend and longtime stunt double, Cliff Booth. As Tarantino has grown as a filmmaker, he has become one of the few current directors many know by name and many cities trust to deliver his unique and well-defined style liked by audiences and critics alike. Thanks to his extraordinary success, he's also been able to assemble some of the strongest and biggest casts within his films and top the box office without problems. So inevitably, as one of the few current greats we have in our times, there's an insane amount of expectations with every new film he releases. And despite a slightly and undeserved, in my humble opinion, weak reception to the Hateful Eight, he has come back with his latest film following a strong string of films over the last decade that only keep proving that he's on his prime. Of course, the film went through quite a bit from the very beginning when the concept was announced. Tarantino departed to Sony Pictures, many big stars were in talks with the film, some unfortunate and untimely passings happened, and the film barely made it into Kansas City was being edited. Luckily, once the first thriller came around, everyone sighed a sigh of relief, because they knew Tarantino was clearly in top form behind the camera, and there was not much to worry about. I obviously had to wait about a month and a half to even get to see the damn film, but now that I have, now that the long 3-year wait since it was originally announced is finally over, the question appears, was it worth the wait? Absolutely. Let's begin with a fair warning. This is being released on time after the film hit theaters, but in case you haven't watched the film in question, please allow me to tell you. This is a very laid-back film that likes to take its time and have its fun, and it's almost 3 hours long. Okay? You got that? Good. I had that set on my mind from the very beginning, and thanks to that, my experience was wonderful. Why do you ask? Well, let's get to the obvious. Leonardo DiCaprio's Rick Dalton and Brad Pitt's Cliff Booth simply make for one of the greatest lead pairings of our decade, our century, and will likely go down as one of the best of all times. Both stars are amazing, and while I will reserve some of my love for a later video whenever the Academy Award nominations are announced, I will touch a couple of things. Their performances ooze charisma, presence, chemistry, and whenever the two of them share the screen is just so damn delightful. This is further helped by the fact that the first 2/3 of the film are an incredible stroke of genius by Tarantino, as we follow Rick Dalton on another day at work, Brad Pitt casually hanging out, and Sharon Tate, portrayed by Margot Robbie, doing again very casual things. Admittedly, this might not sound exciting at first, but let me remind you. One is an actor trying to remain relevant on a fading Hollywood, one is a stunt double that rigs a badass, and one is the very charming Sharon Tate. And all of their scenes, as simple as they might seem, are very easy to watch and enjoy. Margot as Sharon Tate delivers as well, adjusting her performance delicately to bring a full-of-light Sharon Tate to life, even for some short moments. Something that's particularly great about this film is its very calmness and excellent comedy. Tarantino rarely misses in that department, but I firmly believe this is his most overtly comedic film, and he totally nails it. Every performance is on point when it comes to this, and my theater as well as myself were constantly in stitches. When it comes to its extensive supporting cast, there's really just one slight weak link, and she's barely in the film to begin with, so it's really not much of a problem. Off of the top of my head, some highlights in the cast include a quite entertaining Al Pacino, a very committed Timothy Olyphant, a lovely performance by Julia Butters, an intimidating and commanding Dakota Fanning, a very fun cameo by the always reliable and ever so underrated Bruce Dern, and finally, an incredible, badass, almost one-scene wonder in the form of Mike Maw, who pretty much resurrects Bruce Lee's very essence for some unforgettable minutes. Adding to all of this, it's a very mature and restrained, yet never uncharacteristic direction by Tarantino, who very lightheartedly lets some scenes play out while creating some nail-biting tension and crafts several phenomenal sequences right after the other. Along with Hateful Eight, Tarantino shows just how much he has learned and grown as a filmmaker and an auteur with this film. The editing really helps the film work. Some scenes being drawn out longer, the pacing could have fallen off and made various sequences stale, yet it never happens. Along some very creative moments, Fred Raskin keeps the film well together. And of course, The soundtrack is oh so essential to a Tarantino flick, and it's one of his better ones. The balance between the score keeps the experience vibrant throughout the runtime by returning the late 60s to the big screen. As for flaws, there are very minor nitpicks that come to mind, and most of them are pretty much attached to the later third of the film. I would like to point out, I did enjoy this last part of the film much more than I expected, but at the same time I do have some mixed thoughts in regards to it. I will get into some heavy spoiler territory, so if for some reason you haven't watched it, feel free to skip to this part. What I was most worried about when it came to this film was the way in which Tarantino was handling the Tate LaBianca murders. I knew he wasn't going to make a grotesque parody of it, given how well he handled the Inglourious Bastards. However, I definitely didn't expect at all what actually happened. Does that mean I liked it? Well, I actually did. Was that, however, the right move? Not necessarily. Look, the ending sequence was not only surprisingly darkly comic, and not only did my theater love it, but overall it was also well executed in terms of craft. Nothing truly wrong was done in regards to Sharon Tate, and in some ways it is kind of nice to imagine this world where Rick Dalton and Sharon Tate befriend each other, and where the tragic assassinations never happened. My only issues with it is that it admittedly feels like Tarantino cheating those previous two thirds where his restraint was particularly notable. In some ways, narratively, it doesn't feel coherent with the rest of the film and makes in some ways Sharon Tate's inclusion in the film somewhat strange. I wouldn't say her presence in the story is ham-fisted into the screenplay, but in retrospective it technically doesn't mesh too well with the rest. Still, despite those feelings and some other minor nitpicks like what I feel was a bit of an unnecessary backstory to Cliff and the handling of the narration on the third act, which Tarantino should just get rid of, honestly. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood still ranks among his best work and shows why Tarantino is still to this day one of the undeniable greats of modern cinema. I'm gonna give Once Upon a Time in Hollywood an A. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do apologize once again for the sudden hiatus, which not even I was expecting. I'll try to get back on track to finish the Tarantino reviews and eventually moving forward with the channel. I'll eventually get around to the long-awaited performance reviews and more films, as well as my initial thoughts on what will be the 2019 awards race. If you liked this video almost as much as I enjoyed making it, feel free to follow me on my Facebook page and support me on Patreon. The links will be down in the description. I'm UnAdapted, and if you like this, you can like, comment and subscribe for more, and I'll return with a new video soon. That's all.